Hey, what's up guys, TechTine here, and I am back again with a brand new video. So before I begin this video, as always, I want to thank you all so much for the support, so much for liking this one, subscribing to the channel, and yeah, you guys have been incredible lately. Keep the support coming. Also follow me on Instagram, you guys have been amazing there too, so follow me there for the latest and greatest, and if you have questions, DM me there. So in today's video, I'm going to be reviewing the camera on the Moto G Stylus 5G. With that being said, let's go ahead and get started. So the camera setup on the Stylus 5G is the following. So you have a quad camera setup with the main sensor being a 48 megapixels at f1.7, and you also have a 8 megapixel f2.2 ultra wide at 118 degrees. You also have a 5 megapixel at f2.2 macro sensor and a 2 megapixel at f2.4 depth sensor. So with that in mind, the front facing camera has a 16 megapixel at f2.0 aperture. Okay, so next up, let's quickly talk about the camera app. So the camera app on the Moto G Stylus 5G, just like with any other Motorola phone, it's simple, straight to the point. You still have the shake back and forth to launch the camera app, and you also have the ability to switch between your standard, your wide angle, and your macro sensor. On the top, you have a toggle for settings and as well as toggle for different types of effects. So overall, a very simplistic and a nice camera app, just like you would expect with any phone nowadays. Okay, so now let's talk about picture quality. So the picture quality on this phone has actually shocked me on the fact that for the price that you're paying for this phone, it's very impressive. The first three pictures are really to showcase how this phone handles color. And the first one, I mean, it's a pretty good picture. So the only thing that it's missing from my point of view is just the vibrance and the fact that it just needs just a tiny bit of saturation, but overall not a big deal. Still looks pretty good to me. Same with the second picture, which I'm really just trying to showcase color, and like I said, I mean, it looks pretty good. It's nice. The colors are what you would expect and even better from a phone at this price point. Now the color red on here is what I think just needs a tiny bit of work. So it's undersaturated. In this picture in particular, it's undersaturated. It just needs this needs the reds to basically pop a little bit more, but overall a pretty acceptable picture that you can post anywhere. Okay, so in this next picture, I also want to test out the sharpness and detail, and let me tell you, man, this phone, again, it impressed me. It really did. It did a pretty good job in sharpness. It did a pretty good job in detail. However, the only thing that I think it's kind of harsh on was just the bokeh effect. It did a decent job, but it's not the best job in the world. And I know at this point I'm really nitpicking, but I just had to mention it. So the next picture, I also want to test out the bokeh and the focus. And this one, it did a much better job. Now, it kind of missed focus, but it's not bad. Right, if you zoom in, you will see that some of the branches on this plant are kind of misplaced. They're not really in focus, but some are in focus. So it's hit or miss. But overall, for a phone at this price point, pretty impressive. Now, in bright conditions, this phone also does a pretty good job. The picture may slightly be overexposed, but it's not bad. It's really not bad. So when you switch from the standard lens to the wide angle lens, you will kind of see loss in detail, and it does tend to overexpose it a little bit more than I would like, but overall an acceptable picture. And the dynamic range on here is actually pretty good too. Now, it's not as vibrant, and it doesn't make the picture pop, so it just needs, like I said, more vibrance and more saturation, especially in this picture. So you can see that the sky is not overexposed, which is a good thing, and the trees themselves are not also overexposed, which is a good thing, and the sky is just missing that color. The whole picture in general is actually just missing color, and I decided to test it out. Okay, so if I switch it up a notch and I add saturation and make the picture a little bit more vibrant, you can see and notice the difference. So again, you can take a shot, but if you want to make it better, you can add a little bit of saturation, and just a little bit. Don't go crazy, because then you will just ruin the picture. So next up, I want to look at the front-facing camera. So the front-facing camera is pretty decent. It's not really that great. It does tend to overexpose a little bit, but it's not bad overall. So now I want to actually test out the video quality, which is probably a reason that some of you will need this phone for. If you're in the market for a budget phone that has a good video quality, I can say that this may not be it, to be honest. So there's quite some there's a lot of noise in the picture, and it's not really that great for video. And especially when you switch from the standard lens to the wide angle lens, it's I don't know, it's kind of tough to buy this phone strictly for video. But again, for the money that you're spending it on, it's not bad. It's pretty acceptable. And yeah, I mean, here's also your microphone test. The quality doesn't seem to be all that bad. It's not the greatest. There's kind of stutters here and there in the viewfinder, but it's not bad. I mean, the trees are green, and you can switch between your standard lens as well as your wide angle lens. There is, of course, a delay and a loss in quality, but overall not bad. This phone's camera is overall a pretty acceptable and reliable camera. The only thing that it lacks is saturation and vibrance, and sometimes when on hard subjects you can miss focus, so keep that in mind. And video quality is probably its biggest letdown. It's not really that good, and it does shoot at 1080p, but the image does not look 1080p. It looks like upscaled 720p at best. So there's that. Also keep that in mind. But overall, as a whole package, it's definitely worth the quality. And yeah, with that being said, I mean, if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you leave a thumbs up, make sure you're subscribed, and make sure you guys stay tuned for the next one. Thank you all so much for watching.